Okay. My first question, when looking at the website and just seeing how, it's fabulously laid out, what do you think are the biggest, aside from, planning the trip, planning the trip and organizing, which this website aims to help people with, what do you think is the next challenge or the next barrier that people usually have when wanting to take that first step, especially somebody who might be older and maybe is just getting into the world of wanting to travel?
Right. I think the first step is actually that initial step that is just thinking that it can be done. I had a conversation recently with an older woman, and she said, how do I get my husband, who's a curmudgeon, he never wants to travel, I want to travel, how do I get him to do the things, to go along and enjoy it? And I say, you don't. You do it yourself. And leave him home. If he's going to complain the entire time, you leave him home. So I think the idea that we can do it ourselves, whether you're a man or a woman, and what first needs to happen is that you need to allow your own emotional value of that experience come through. And that's why I love this site so much, is it takes you through the steps. Where do you want to shop? Do you want to go to visit iconic places? And it really starts to ask you to delve deeper into just why you want to go. And once you get that feeling, that's when actually travel planning becomes a lot more, well, just easier, because you have a goal, where before you just didn't have a goal. You just see travel as this huge scope. And even I can't stand travel planning because I never feel like it's rewarding, and because most of travel planning, online anyway, doesn't begin with the most important element, and that is, why do you want to go in the first place?
Yeah, I think that sometimes the planning part especially can be really overwhelming, which is this is really great, and it has that component where you can do it online with the Expedia, but then it also has, if you wanted to talk to a travel agent, if you wanted to keep it old school, as we say. Yeah. So, and so then the other thing, I saw you speak, by the way, at the Women's Travel Conference last weekend. I was there as well, so I spoke at the end of it. But I noticed in a lot of the conversations that, a couple of other groups had, were when they were talking about, traveling with their parents, or like with my parents or whatever, they were like, oh, this is really cool, this is really exciting, you can take the parents, they're great babysitters. Mm-hmm. And I started thinking about my own mom, and my mom would have never stayed with the kids. She's like, I'm out of here. So. Right. I think that a lot of us think about, traveling with the grandparents as having this in-house babysitter, and that's really not the case, right? What other stereotypes or generalizations do you think people have with travelers 50 and over?
Well, I think the generalization is that that they just want to be sort of sedentary, and they want to kind of do what they want to do, and they want things to be easy. And I have found that it's actually the exact opposite with the 50-pluser. And mind you, this is a huge group of people we're talking about. We're talking about 35, 40 years. So to generalize, it's really hard, because there are components, there are stereotypes in each one of those, in those stereotypes. But I would say that the 50-plus, to generalize, is looking to have more meaningful travel, where the person my age, like I have twins, I just want to relax, and I want to make sure there is daycare, and I want to make sure there's 20 different things at one time to do, so no one's bored, but then I can zone out. And I think the 50-pluser, if they're doing a cruise, if they're going to Europe for the 4th time, if they're staying here in the United States, there has to be something about the travel experience that makes them a better person. Whether this time they're going to Europe, they're taking a cooking course. Whether this time they're taking a cruise, they're going to make sure that there's a really great lecture series on the oceans, and also architecture as well. So they're learning the entire time. They want to better themselves, and they want to better themselves through travel. Where I just I want a pina colada and I want to relax.
Yeah, I think that's funny, because I think about traveling, and I'm looking forward to bedtime. I think a lot of times people are like, oh, we're gonna leave the kids with the grandkids, and we're gonna party, and I'm like, well, I'm usually ready to go to sleep when the kids are ready to go to sleep, or lay down in bed. Yeah. So, what, besides all the other really great, amazing things that we already talked about the site, what other things have you noticed in the site that gets you really excited about, its potential to get people out there? What one thing about the site really gets you excited the most?
Just a really simple tool called the trip planner, where you can save your trip. I know when I usually plan, I start with one website, and then I got to check the weather. Now I have to check the weather averages. Now I have to check I want to go to, say, Amsterdam, but what is Amsterdam in June? Is it really better to go to in September? So now I have to actually leave the page and open up a new browser to find the weather. Okay, now what about a hotel? Now I've got to open up another page to find a hotel. And what I like about the site is that, and I think especially for the 50-pluser, it keeps you on one site. When you go to the destination guide, there's a bar that remains there the entire time that has the weather, where the cheapest hotel rate, the cheapest flight, and I think the AARP discounts tool where you can find out where your discounts. So you're not opening up 15 different browsers, and that's when we just become overwhelmed with all the information that is out there, and it's not leading us to making a better informed decision. We don't need all the information. We just need information that is tuned to us, where we need it, when we need it. And the website has that all on one page, and so you're just clicking within the actual website. You're not opening up many different pages to get to the end of your trip, which actually then becomes unending because the information never ends. So it's an ease of use that I love about the site.
I wonder if it's not going to recruit people or get people like me to join to use the site. Even if I don't get the AARP discount, I probably might still use the site. But that does bring a question. A couple of people have asked me, like, why? I mean, I kind of know what an answer to this would be, but I want to hear what you might have to say. Why create a website for the 50+? Why is that necessary? How is their want for a destination or their want to plan a travel, how is that different from somebody like me wanting to plan a travel? Why do they need their own, little site?
Well, I think one is that the 50-pluser is their main goal. Aspiration is to travel, where you can say that about a lot of us that aren't in that age group yet, but we can't because we have jobs and we have kids. We have things that are becoming more of a weight, where that 50-pluser is now having a lot more time dedicated to do what they want to do. And this travel site is just about making that dream, that aspiration of travel, more of a reality. I agree with you. A lot of what the site is just universal. It's what people are going to love about any sort of travel planning tool. But there will be more geared information towards, say, the disabled traveler. That's a huge subject with the AARP member. How am I going to get there? If I have to get oxygen for the plane, who do I arrange that with? Is it the airport? Is it when I buy my ticket? We bring you through every step of that process. So little by little, you say, I can do it. Okay, I can do it. Where, no, you're not going to find that on, say, Lonely Planet.
Right.
That traveler is the backpacker, and they're staying in hostels, and they're taking trains, and they're taking trains overnight so they can save money on a hotel. It is a different focus as we get older, as we go through all of stages of life. What we want out of travel changes, and I think the website really addresses those specific needs and desires of that 50+ traveler.
I love that. I love that it takes that level of consideration, because I think that's another inhibitor to a lot of people traveling as well, is, the medical needs or the physical limitations and so forth. But I think there also might be stuff there for the grandmother who wants to skydive, right?
Yeah, of course. Absolutely.
Because she's out there.
The skydiving grandmas.
Okay, well, I guess I hope that this website is, I know that you guys are working on expanding it and developing it a little bit more. I'm hoping that maybe there are plans out there to have it in a second language, you think?
Sammy, do you have that? That's a great idea.
I'm hoping so.
No say.
Well, thank you, Samantha. It's such a pleasure to speak with you.
Nice speaking with you too, Carol. Take care.
Yeah, Samantha, absolutely. We will do that in Spanish, and that's something that we're looking into. We'll continue to expand into other languages.
Wonderful. Thank you.